Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome once again to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com as always, and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/NoDQCAW. Got a lot of your questions here from formspring.me/AaronRift, so let's get right down to it. First one today comes from Tolan. What did you think about the news that DX are apparently going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame class of 2014? And why is the cat up on top of the island? Get, cat! Hold on a second. Hey! Get out! Alright, sorry about that little technical difficulty. I had to get her down from the island there. And I could have just redone the entire video, but I opted to leave that in. A funny moment here on NoDQ&A video, a nice little blooper for everybody. But now it's time to get back down to business and get all serious here. The question regarding China possibly be inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2014, along with DX, and somebody else here, AIC 1993, mentioned that I guess WrestleMania XXX was the way to go, huh? Here's my take on it. I think when you look at China's accomplishments in WWE, she is definitely worthy of being inducted into the Hall of Fame with the Divas. She was one of the most important Divas of her era. She was the first female IC champion. She was the first female in the Royal Rumble. And she was a part of the original DX, along with Shawn Michaels and Triple H. So I think that her resume is quite impressive. But as you mentioned here with WrestleMania XXX, she has gone down this path where she's been doing adult entertainment. And, that doesn't go well with the current PG era in WWE. So I don't think that it would be a good idea from a PR standpoint for WWE to induct her at WrestleMania 30. All the jokes with the XXX and all that. And I just think it would get bad publicity. And I do think WWE should induct her at some point. I just don't think next year is the right time to do it. And that's just my opinion. I think that just induct Shawn Michaels and Triple H and maybe X-Pac and the Outlaws. But, I wouldn't go as far as to bring in China. I don't think it would be a good business move. I think you're better off waiting a couple years. Maybe she'll get out of the porn industry, and at that point, it would be a good time to induct her. But I do think she should go in at some point. All right, this one comes from the username 212, or that username 212. Did you go to WCW events? I only went to one WCW show. I went to a house show in 1994 at the Antelope Valley Fairgrounds in Lancaster, California. And it was a really small show, maybe only 1,000 people there. And the main event was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Stunning Steve Austin. And I believe it was one of Steamboat's last matches in WCW. I mean, it was either the next to last match, or it might have actually been the last match. I mean, it was definitely towards the end of his run. So that was historic. I mean, it was right after Hulk Hogan came in. Hogan wasn't there, of course, but they had the Hulk Hogan posters, and I got a Hogan poster there. And, it was a fun show. I'm really kicking myself about not going to the 2000 Nitro at Staples Center. If I had known WCW was going to be out of business, I would have definitely made more of an effort to go to that show. But, I was still in high school at that time, didn't have a car, so I had to rely on my mom to get around. So it just didn't work out for me. But I would have liked to have gone to that WCW Nitro at Staples Center, even though it was not a good show. I mean, that was the Nitro where Sid and Kevin Nash had their match for the world title, and Sid won the title. And, that was a very dark period in WCW. But it would have been nice to at least have gone to a Nitro. So, I still feel bad that I wasn't able to go to that show. All right, this one comes from Nick Lombardi 9. Hey, Aaron, please answer in video. What did you think about the Randy Orton versus Undertaker Hell in a Cell match at Undertaker 2000 or Armageddon 2005? I think it was a very underrated match and an overall underrated feud in general. Your thoughts? I thought that was a really good Hell in a Cell match. I wouldn't put it in the top tier of Hell in a Cell matches, but certainly way better than some of the PG Hell in a Cell matches from 2009, 2010. That feud overall was really entertaining. I definitely think it was one of the best feuds of the year. I would call it underrated because NoDQ.com visitors voted Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio as the feud of 2005, and I disagree with that. I think Batista and Triple H was a better feud, and I also think Orton and Undertaker was a better feud. And, I've talked about the WrestleMania match. I was there at Staples Center for that, WrestleMania 21. I think that was one of Undertaker's most underrated WrestleMania matches. I really enjoyed that match, and the crowd was hot for it, and the crowd really bought into the idea that Orton could end the streak. So, I really enjoyed that match. The SummerSlam match, I think, was the weakest of the series, but still, that feud spanned almost a full year over several major pay-per-views. So, it was a big deal, and, the stuff with Bob Orton bleeding and, the concern about, the blood and all that with the hepatitis C or whatever it was. That was a bad situation, but still, that was a tremendous match, and all the stuff with the Ortons, Bob Orton and Randy Orton together. I loved it. All right, this one comes from Matthew Torres. Hey, Aaron, been asking for a while, haven't gotten an answer yet. I was wondering, why aren't the high-flying talent in WWE, such as Kofi Kingston, Justin Gabriel, and Tyson Kidd, aren't getting the pushes that guys like Jeff Hardy and Rob Van Dam used to get? It just matters how the fans react to people. It's all about if the wrestler connects with the fans. Kofi Kingston did get pushed, and, I think he was making a connection with the fans, but, WWE cut his push short. And perhaps he could have gotten to the level of a Jeff Hardy or Rob Van Dam, but, it just didn't work out. And with Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd, they're very talented in the ring, but, I'm not sure that neither of them have the charisma to reach that level where they're really over with the fans like a Jeff Hardy or RVD. Some guys just have that personality and they just are able to make that connection with the audience. And some guys are really talented in the ring, but, they just can't get the people behind them. And certainly not getting pushed, that doesn't help matters for them. All right, next question here. Who's the better actress, Dixie or Vickie? Well, I assume you're talking about Dixie Carter, the wrestling promoter, and not Dixie Carter, the actress. Vickie Guerrero, I think, deserves a lot more credit than she gets. I think she's a great performer, and I've always been entertained by her. I do think that the general manager role has played itself out, but, Vickie really stepped it up. She was basically given a job out of sympathy because of Eddie Guerrero's death, but she took the ball and she ran with it, and she became a tremendous performer. I think far better than anybody was expecting out of her. She really broke out as a all-time great WWE personality. So I have to hand it to Vickie Guerrero. She has really become one of the most memorable performers in recent WWE history. Dixie Carter from TNA, not so much. Hey Aaron, what are your thoughts on Ryback's confrontation with a fan in Brisbane, Australia? Basically what happened, apparently this is the story, a fan brought a sign that said, "Feed me more steroids," and it was directed at Ryback, and apparently Ryback got really angry and started yelling at the fan. My take on it is that you really have to have a thick skin if you're going to be a WWE superstar and you want to be a major player. I think you have to be able to handle the fan criticism and even the slander. Even if somebody's saying something about you that may or may not be true, you really got to be able to just let it go. And say what you want about John Cena, but fans have thrown every insult in the book at him, and they've said some really horrible things about John Cena over the years, and he puts up with it, and he continues to have a smile on his face and brush it off and continue doing his job. And, I think everybody could learn from that. And, you just got to keep your cool. So, if Ryback lost his cool, that's definitely a sign of weakness on his part and something he will need to work on because you're going to have hecklers and you're going to have people bringing negative signs, and you just got to be able to deal with it. And if they know it gets to you, it's just going to get worse, not better. All right, this one comes from OMCN36. How old were you when you watched your first wrestling match? Do you remember who the match was between? Well, I've been watching wrestling since birth. I mean, my dad was a huge wrestling fan, and the TV was always on, so I have no idea what was actually the first match I watched. But the first live event I remember going to was in 1987. It was like June, July of that year. And the main event was Hulk Hogan versus Randy Savage, right before Savage made his babyface turn. I specifically remember that. That was certainly my first live event. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you what my first actual match was that I saw on television. That would be impossible to say. All right. Do you see Bully Ray being the champion at Bound for Glory? Was it the right business move to have Sabin win the title? As I mentioned in previous videos, I think that it was a good decision to put the title on Chris Sabin. At this stage of the game, it doesn't matter who the champion is. TNA is going to do a 1.0, 1.1 rating regardless of who the title is on. And, house show business isn't going to change. Pay-per-view bar rates aren't going to change. It doesn't matter who the champion is right now. As far as will Bully Ray be the champion at Bound for Glory, I think that is a good possibility. I think that was originally the plan, and perhaps TNA decided to put the title on Sabin to try to generate some buzz and get people talking about TNA. Would not surprise me at all at the Hardcore Justice Impact Wrestling special to see Bully Ray regain the title, and then TNA goes back to their original plan for Bound for Glory, which I'm expecting it'll be Bully Ray against AJ Styles, unless they've changed their plans and then they're going in a different direction. But that's what I'm expecting at this point. But anything can happen. All right, this one comes from MJ Scrivens89. Hey Aaron, love the videos and have become a regular visitor to NoDQ.com. This is my first question, so let's start with a look back in time. What role do you think Triple H would have played in the Invasion storyline had he not torn his quad back in May 2001? I'm pretty sure I've answered this before, but I'll mention it again. Originally, the plan in WWE was for Triple H to eventually turn babyface and feud with Steve Austin. So if Triple H had not gotten hurt, I suspect he would have been part of WWE. He wouldn't have gone with WCW and ECW. And I'm guessing that instead of Undertaker beating DDP and Kanyon and all those guys, it would have been Triple H hitting the pedigree on DDP, Kanyon, and all those guys. And, Triple H would have been the guy going over on everybody. Just a hunch. Just speculation on my part. All right, last question today comes from Del Rio Fan 74. Well, actually, I got two more here. I'll try to get through. Hey, Aaron, after the Montreal screw job, Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart, and British Bulldog all left the WWF and went to WCW. My question is, why did Owen Hart not jump to WCW as well? I think a Hart Foundation NWO feud could have been great. Your thoughts? Well, according to Bret Hart in his book, Owen Hart did, in fact, try to get out of his contract, but Vince would not allow it. And also, Bret mentioned that he had spoken to Eric Bischoff about the idea of Owen Hart coming in, and while Bischoff was interested, he said he wasn't going to pay Owen as much as Vince was paying him. So, I mean, it just didn't work out where Owen Hart ended up in WCW. And maybe he would still be alive today. Who knows? I think in the short term it was the right decision for Owen Hart because, I don't think WCW would have done anything with him. I think that, you talk about a Hart Foundation NWO feud, I don't think that would have happened. I think Owen Hart would have been, if Bret Hart was stuck in the mid-card in 98, where would have Owen Hart been? I mean, he would have probably been in the opening match of the show. So, at least in the short term for him, before the tragedy, he was better off being in WWE. He got that initial big push. He was part of the nation, and he had a decent run for a while. All right, last one today comes from Deadman1993. Hey, Aaron, congrats on almost 2 years of NoDQ&A video. Do you regret posting the infamous XMV SummerSlam countdown from 2011 that ended the Jeff Meacham era and began the NoDQ&A video era, or are you satisfied on the outcome and consequences? Please answer in video. I have no regrets about posting the XMV countdown videos. XMV was its own product back in the day. It was different from Talk Wrestling and No DQ&A Video right now. When we were doing XMV, it was at times serious wrestling discussion, and at other times it was goofing off and just having fun and doing various skits, and we even had storylines. And you know, it had its audience. I mean, some people liked it, some people loved it, and there were also people that absolutely hated it and thought it was terrible. When we did the XMV SummerSlam countdown, the XMV reunion, we wanted it to have the old school XMV feel to it. So we had Mike and Jeff getting drunk and goofing off and doing all the silly stuff. And it got a lot of negative feedback. But, you know, I was very happy with how the videos turned out. And, you know, it really didn't play a huge role in my split with Jeff Meacham. What happened with Jeff was that we were just moving in different directions. Literally, I mean, Jeff had moved to Long Beach around that time, about an hour from me. And it was becoming more and more difficult to record videos. And it just turned out for the best. You know, Jeff was able to go off and do his own thing and have his own creative freedom. And it allowed me to step from behind the camera and start doing the videos myself. And, you know, if there's ever breaking news or something, I can just hop right on the computer, record it, and get it up. You know, right around that time was when CM Punk did the pipe bomb, and we weren't even able to meet up and record a video for it. I mean, several weeks had passed, and there was no video with Jeff's reaction to the pipe bomb. So, I mean, that was one of the problems with us working together, as it just took a while for us to be able to meet up and actually record videos and get them online. And like I said, Jeff was having his own issues, and you know, it just ended up being the best for both of us to move on from our working relationship. And you know, it's cool that we're still friends to this day, and you know, never say never. Maybe Jeff Meacham will show up one day, you never know. That'll do it for this edition of No DQ&A Video. Thanks as always for watching. Subscribe, youtube.com/NoDQ&AW. I wanted to throw out a quick plug real quick for the Mayhem.com. The Mayhem.com is back, and it has a whole new feel and look to it. It's not a wrestling news site. It is a social networking site with the best elements of MySpace and Facebook put together into one site. The Mayhem.com, a place for wrestling fans, a place where you can come and discuss wrestling with fans from all over the world. And we even have a dislike button that you can click. You know, so that's one thing we have that Facebook does not have. So check out the Mayhem.com and keep spreading the word about No DQ&A Video. Tell a friend on Facebook or Twitter, or the Mayhem.com for that matter. And I will see you guys next time for more videos.